people, I think that stayed with me for a while because I know what happens on the playground. So to have a child who is like, this is how I have been brought up. I'm going to keep saying no and keep, pushing back, but I'm not going to start punching you. We're not going to get into a fist and roll it on the ground. Why? Because that child knows what it has at stake, right? He knows that there are other ways we can deal with this situation. You can push back, you can say no. And he knows that once the story goes out, his name, his family's name is at stake. So he decided to stay with his values. These are some of the examples. These are some of the little things that we're going to be, just talking about in the course of this journey. It's about a 3 month journey, and we have so many other things that we're going to be talking about. Just to let you know that every single day, life is always asking our children, what are your values? And if we do not intentionally let them know, if we're always doing what we call defensive parenting, just correcting every time without actually stating our values, we're going to run into problems. And today, we have somebody who is in deep in the trenches, right? If you notice, there are a lot of programs for girls, everywhere, women empowerment, until I became a boy mom. And then I realized that there is a gap. We need to raise boys because they are, an important, crucial part of our society. And so today I have a speaker, I have somebody I respect so much. She's super graced, she's super anointed. She has, she's one of the people that I believe that shaped me when it comes to raising culturally rooted children. Being able to speak our language, for instance. Right now in my home, we've already started speaking a little bit of Yoruba here and there. I learned it from her. I made a decision. I incorporated into my life, as our family values, that we're going to be culturally rooted. We're not going to lose track of our culture because we're in diaspora, because we're abroad, right? And I'm so delighted. I'm so honored to have her here with me. She's a friend of the house. Her husband is all over the place, all over the world. Right now, I think I saw a video of him in New York, raising an altar of praise. He was in Frankfurt in January. We're just, every time we see his video, we're so excited to see that he's lifting up the banner of Christ, of Jesus, everywhere he goes. Today, I have Mrs. Adiola. She doesn't like to be called Mrs., but that's what she is. Mrs. Adiola Babs-Mala. And I'm just going to read her profile quickly and we'll get right to it. Mrs. Adiola Babs-Mala is a passionate follower of Christ, children's ministry leader, a clinical pharmacist based in Calgary, Alberta. She's the founder of Great Grace Network's Children's Bible Club, a spirit-led initiative that nurtures children in God's Word and helps them grow in a personal walk with the Holy Spirit. In the fall of 2023, she launched the Online Teens Boys Academy, a mentoring platform led by credible God-fearing men designed to equip teenage boys with strong biblical values, leadership character, and kingdom purpose. Adiola also mentors young men, helping them navigate life with godly wisdom, spiritual depth, and personal purpose. Her heart is to raise Christ-centered generations through discipleship, teaching, and the international community. Professionally, she serves as a pharmacy manager at Freshco Pharmacy. She's a pharmacist. She is the author of a collection of Bible stories and life application for children, volumes 1 and 2, and as well as a parent's handbook, Foundations of Faith, timeless Bible stories that build character. I'm so delighted today to welcome you, Mrs. Adiola Babs-Mala. Thank you so much for having us. I think we have made you co-host. Yes.
Okay, great.
The floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Moralake. Thank you for being consistent over the years. You can hear me good, right?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for always reaching out. You know how to get me. My hands are pretty full, but you pray so well before you reach out because this is one of the weekends where I can spare. So I'm really grateful that you've given me the opportunity to share out of, how God has helped me myself and how he continues to help me. So thank you for having me here. Thank you for all my folks from Calgary and those who are from the Rooted and Planted Academy. Thank you for being here and for trusting that this meeting will bring value into your life. Okay, so now let's go ahead to the topic of today. Like Morolake said, if you know someone that is going to benefit from this, even though we're talking about raising a boy child, but mainly children are children, and there's so many, there's so many overlaps.
The second verse that struck
Okay,
me
I
was
need to mute
different
someone right
ways.
now.
It's not a confession I think like almost daily.
Okay, all right. Like we say, there's someone with a hot mic. Thank you. All right. Yeah. So we are talking about raising the boys, but again, children are children. The similarities they have is much more than what they don't have in common. So even if you're a mom of a girl child, you're going to benefit immensely from this meeting. I believe God to just take control of everything we have to say today. So this is a faith-based platform. So we're just going to say a word of prayer as we commit this time, into God's hands. Father, we give you praise and honor. Thank you for this morning. Thank you for this day, the day you have made. You said we'll rejoice and be glad in it. Thank you, oh God, for giving us the opportunity to be here, even to learn at the feet of Jesus, because it's all about you. Lord, as we go into this topic that we have in front of us today, we pray that the Holy Spirit himself will speak through me. I pray that the hearts of the women, the men here will be open. And Lord, anything you want us to correct, to modify, anything you want us to make straight, Lord, you will help us to accomplish. Take control and take charge of today. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen and amen. All right. So let's go to the business of today. I'm going to share my slides that I have here. Yeah. So the topic again that we have before us today is raising boys with strong family values in a fast-changing world. And like I said, whether they are boys, whether they are girls, they are all children. And it is important to raise children that have strong family values, because we live in a world, like Rolake said in our introduction, that even you as an adult, if you're not careful, you don't even know where to stand anymore. Because again, it's not the plain black and white. There's lots of gray areas, ethical issues. In our profession, we talk about gray areas, and gray areas are areas where there's no yes or no answer for it. It's a gray. But thank goodness that we have the Holy Spirit who helps us, who leads us in the way to go, who teaches us in the right way to go. And that's why we're taking, this topic today about values. And if you know me, I'm someone who is quite passionate about values. I've had a few of our folks here just ask me about values. How do you, especially today where, our faith, Christianity is fast becoming a different ideologies, different values, different types of Christians are arising. So how do we navigate this? How do we explain to our kids to say, okay, this is important, this is not important? So that is why we are talking about this hot topic today. Now, again, I have a disclaimer on the screen. This is not an all-inclusive guide, and I'm not also claiming exclusivity, as I'm still learning every day. But from what I've experienced and still experiencing, I believe I can offer a perspective that might help you in your parenting journey. So that is that. Now let's go to what are values. According to different definitions that I found online and in the dictionary, it says values are core beliefs and principles that guide your decision making and your behavior and the way you relate to others. So when you see someone who does things in a different way, and the reason is because it's their value system, the beliefs, the principles. That is what guides their decision making. That is what guides what they do and what they do not do. That is what guides the way they relate in the community and to people around them. So that's the short definition of value. You can say value is like gas, maybe gas in a car. That's petrol in a car, and the car itself is already there. That's the human person, but you need the gas to drive the car to its destination. So everyone must, every home must have values. You don't leave things to chance. You know, the other day I was speaking in church and I was mentioning the fact that if you leave things to chance, of course, you know, things may happen. Things may happen if you leave things to chance, but you cannot really guarantee the outcome of what you give to chance. That is why it is important to be pretty intentional about instilling these values, these core values into your home. You know, if you look at the Bible, you will see the youngest, one of the youngest kings in the Bible, Joash. He was mentored by a priest, Jehoiada, in 2 Kings chapter 11. You know, he was mentored because they knew this guy was young. He couldn't go the right way. And we have people like Manasseh, Manasseh, who is the son of Ezekiah. You know, Ezekiah was one of the most righteous kings that ruled, you know, in Judah. Ezekiah, all the other things that the kings, you know, other kings were struggling to be righteous, to maintain, you know, a righteous kingdom. But Ezekiah did what most of the other kings had not done before, to the extent that the Bible compared him to his great grandfather David. You know why? Because he was able to pull down all the high places that Jeroboam made, that many of the other kings that had gone ahead of him, even though they were righteous, they couldn't do it. So Ezekiah was that kind of person. But guess what? He had a son, Manasseh, and Manasseh did the exact opposite of what his dad did. I don't know whether I wasn't mentored appropriately. I don't know whether I doesn't know his family values, but something I know is that he came from the household of a king who was righteous. So what happened along the way? We don't know. Meanwhile, there was another king, this Jeroboam, that the Bible always referred to the fact that the sin that Jeroboam made the children of Israel to sin because he started the high places. But guess what? This story always touches me when I read it. He had a son. The son was Abijah. And this son was going to die. And Jeroboam sent his wife to go ask, is my son gonna survive? But you know what the Bible said about this son? Even though he came from the loins of a king who was ruthlessly wicked, the Bible says that the Lord made Abijah to die because he was a righteous child, even though he came from the clan of a very wicked king. Now, what am I trying to say? Some children will come from, you know, a family, a foundation that is nothing to write home about. But yet, God in his own way still knows how to let them turn up. Some children, on the other hand, may come from a family full of values and yet turn the other way. But yet, there are also some children, many children actually, that come from a family where these values are passed to them, and then we can see it go from generation to generation. So that is why you cannot afford to leave child raising to chance, especially in this complicated world that we have found ourselves. You have to make sure, we'll see as I continue in my presentation, how we can make sure of this, how we can, just delete chance from our parenting. Some of us, we grew up, you know, I always tell people, I said, my mom never sat me down, or my dad never sat me down to say, this is it, this is that. But I know something they did was that anywhere they hear, because my parents gave their lives to Christ later in life, but I know, thank goodness, for some of my neighbors, and you know, we've been told that we have to appreciate those who have led us on our journey of faith. And I appreciate Mrs. Iyabo Adeshulowo, my neighbor in Jericho, Prince Shijuade Road. I remember that we finished the birthday of one of our neighbors, the 10th birthday of our neighbor, and I was almost 9 years then. And she came to some of our houses and said, hey, you guys, there's a prayer vigil that I'm going. Who wants to go? And she had a combi bus then. She put all of us there, those who wanted to go, and we were there in the back of the combi bus. And that was how, I'm sure many of you who know me, you will hear that my story is not complete without talking about Faith Clinic, which is a non-denominational ministry where I grew up, where I was, you know, nurtured as a child, as a teenager. And so, again, that was how we grew up. So my parents, they said yes to anything God. they said yes to anything God. Of course, my mom still mentioned a few things to me, while growing up, which I'm going to mention in the course of this. But again, I wanted to make that point to say the situation is a bit different right now. It is a bit different right now. So we have to take up all the parenting gears that we have. We have to sit down, we have to analyze and make sure that this journey of raising children with values is intentional. It's not, you don't just assume it. You don't assume it. You have to know that you have done what you have to do to raise children of values. Now, part of what I'm going to talk about is modifying values. Again, many of us grew up in a home where we really appreciate the values that our parents, gave us. Some maybe not, some maybe. But something I want you to realize, especially when you're partnering with your spouse, and if you're a single parent here, when you're raising a kid, you must first of all know that not everything that you grew up with is 100% correct. It is important to know that, because if you think, oh, my mom, they spanked me, every single time, and I turned out good. And because of that, I have to spank my kid every now and then for what they do wrong. Your assumption may be wrong. The reason is because, again, we have to sit down and analyze. Things are supposed to get better as you're passing it, down to the next generation. So when you want to sit down and maybe, I know many of us here, we already have family values that we are trying to speak to our children about. But as you begin to add more values to it, make sure that you know whether you should pass it exactly across or you have to modify it as led by God's Spirit. One of the values for me that I'm modifying, I remember growing up, my parents were people who were so given to helping people and helping everyone. And for me, when I was growing up, I was telling myself that, yes, I'm going to help people. And by God's grace and mercy, I help people. But I put a caveat, I put a clause on my help. I said, my help has to be a help that, it won't be at the detriment of so many things. Of course, God raised us to be sacrificial humans. In the book I just wrote, the Parent Handbook, one of the virtues I discussed there is being sacrificial. Some people will say, oh, I cannot stick my neck to help anyone. But that means you're not a Christian, because being sacrificial is part of our Christian journey. But at the same time, I put a clause in my being sacrificial. Yes, I will go out of my way to help people, but I will add a bit of, wisdom to it. I'll modify it a little bit so that it won't be at the detriment of myself or my home. You help people, but again, you have to make sure you. So these are some of the values I modified. I'm grateful for their sacrifices, because sometimes I get help and I'm like, yes, it's because they did this. But again, please feel free. So long as you're a child of God, you have God's Spirit in you, it gives you the ability to modify these values before you pass them across. I said practical steps to creating the family values. You have to reflect. So you have to communicate, especially if you're married with your spouse. You have to. And I've seen that many times. Even you that I tell people, I say, even you that you have a sibling that you lived in the same home, like you actually lived under the same parents. Sometimes you imbibe different things. It is possible. So now your spouse lived in a different home, you came, and then you come together. So it's important for both of you to come together to reflect, to define what will this value system be and why, and of course, pray. As believers, we don't give anything to chance. We have to pray. So these are practical steps to creating your family values. Now, I'm going to the more depth, the meat of our discussion today, one of the meat of the discussion. Now, personally, I said, I've put classes to values, because the host wanted me to talk about values that I saw, in my own growing up, and I think that we may be able to adapt that. So, but I had to classify values into two main arms. I didn't read this from anywhere. I didn't go to any school to be a coach. I hope to be able to take on a diploma or something for children education at some point or something, because it's important, right? But at this point, everything I've written here is just by the inspiration of the Holy Spirit. So I classified values into two. And the reason why it's important to classify your values into two main classes is so that, because again, some values will be tried in the future. And so as a parent, you have to be at that point where you now analyze and say, okay, what is this class of the value? That would give you perspective. That will help you to be able to know what to do about it or what not to do. Now, I said the first one is essential and primary values. These ones, they are universal. Anywhere you put it, anywhere these values are displayed, it brings forth results. It can be tried and tested anywhere, and it stands sure. It cannot is either you are respectful or you are not. That's what I mean. These values, these ones, they are black and white. So it's either you're respectful or you're not. One of the values that I grew up with is respect. Even though in my family, even my brother that is 4 years older than me, I still call him by name, but that doesn't mean I do not respect him. So respect is, when you see people, you appreciate them for who they know for sure that this person is respectful. This person, appreciates and understands that, this human exists, and you give value. You validate people, you respect them. My kids, this was one of the values we struggled with a little bit, and not in terms of the actual respect, but in terms of the greeting. In Nigeria, we love people to we greet each other. Like, you wake up, oh, good morning, good morning. You go somewhere, you see the older people, you want to greet them because we believe that, and it's one of those cultural values that I love, that greeting people, just saluting people. So I know that this one I had to over and over remind, have you greeted? Have you greeted? And it became like a poem. Have you greeted? Until hopefully, I'm not sure, but I know they are getting there to the extent that I don't have to call or remind you before you greet people. Again, we have to understand, especially when, even I don't even want to mention diaspora right now, because some things I see out of our dearly beloved country, Nigeria, and I'm like, is this the Nigeria that we grew up? So anything people say, and they say, oh, so I've heard people say, oh, I'll send my kids to go and study in Nigeria, to go to boarding house because they still value the, hey, you may be surprised. You may be surprised, because things are happening right now that you would even be like, is this our conservative Nigeria? So it's not about the community. It's not about whether it's Nigeria or it's Botswana or it's South Africa or Canada or Germany. Wherever you are, make sure that you are telling your kids about these values. I'm going to go to how to, instill this. The second one, contentment. These are values. I put a few here that I know that there's no family here represented here that will say that, no, that's not part of our family values. You have to, as children of God, as people of the faith, these are things that will show. This is the light that Jesus said, let your light so shine that people will see and know that you're different. Contentment. This is fast becoming a thing of the past in our families, the value of contentment. So this one I remember. If I don't remember anything my mom told me about, things, I know she told me about this contentment. And she told me something. My mom went to UMC in Ibadan, United Missionary College. And she told me something. She said she had many friends who were from a very rich background. They had, lots of money. Their parents will come and load them with, many rich things. But my mom told me something, and this has stayed with me till today. She said, even if she has only, we in Canada, we call it flip-flop, slippers. In Nigeria, they call it Dunlop. She said, even if it's only Dunlop that the parents could afford to give her, that is what she was going to wear. My mom always told me something. Do not borrow clothes from friends in school. Do not borrow the shoes or the bags or anything. Do not be content with what you have. And so when I moved to, of course, boarding school, there's nothing, you have your uniform. But when I moved to university, and sorry, apologies to those if you did it, it's okay. But for me, I'm just trying to tell you how far values can go. Even when we're doing, when you're doing like end of year something, or maybe you have a black shoe, but you don't have the matching bag. And some of your friends in the hostel, they will offer it voluntarily. And they'll say, oh, use my stuff. My mom's voice would just echo in my ears to say, if it's Dunlop slippers, that's what you wear. So I never, by the grace of God and mercy, if I don't have it, I do not have it. We have to teach our children that contentment. The Bible says in the book of 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 6 says, godliness with contentment is great gain. So let us instill the value of contentment in our children. Jesus said, if your eye be single, your whole body will be full of light. Singleness of eye is contentment. Contentment is not complacency. Contentment is not that, oh, then I'm just okay, I'm not moving forward. No. Contentment is that you are appreciating where you are right now while you believe God to take you to the next step. So let us make sure these are values that is important that, we are instilling in our children. Hard work, I know many of us, hard work, I won't talk too much about that. You work hard. We should, again, I say this, that is the light that other people will see. They should be able to say about you that no, they work hard. And so let us make sure that we left the children. Do not take a lazy child. Do not allow them to rest. David can bear me witness on this one. I always mention, I say, you have to work, and it's from now. Work hard. Push yourself to work hard. Hard work, in Nigeria, we say something. Hard work doesn't kill. It is laziness that kills. Hard work does not kill. So let's make sure that we're teaching our kids the value of hard work. Let us make sure that, age-specific chores, things to show them, even you, when they see that you're hardworking, they're going to imbibe that. Resilience, very important. These are values that you have to. This world is tough. We live in a world but you have to let and sometimes these values, honestly, you may not know that you're actually instilling the values, but they're there. Let me give you an example. So, this summer, the boy said, okay, they've been saying, oh, we want to work, we want to work. I said, okay, it's good if you want to work. My husband, we said, it's good you want to work. So in my store, the grocery store, they were like, okay, let them go for the interview. I saw my kids, they wore the blazer. I'm like, oh, wow, you're just going for a grocery clerk interview. But they're like, oh, if you're going for interview, you dress smart. So they were given the jobs. In fact, the store owner came to meet me and said, Adiola, God bless you for doing a good job. You and your husband. I saw in the kids, I saw that they were not like some other teenage boys that would just be playing video games all through the summer and all of that. So they gave them the job. But guess what? 1 week after, they now discovered that they were not actually supposed to employ children less than 18 years. So I called my husband. I'm like, they said the HR, there was just something that said maybe they ignored it for some. I don't know what happened. And then I'm like, okay, we'll see. So we came home, and then I'm just like, boys, so there's news that is not too good. I said, so sorry, you've been relieved of your job for the summer because this happened. I was surprised. My boss just said, okay, thanks, mom. Okay, let's go to the park. I and my husband, we were shocked. I never knew we trained them for resilience or for how to handle disappointment. I didn't know. I was happy at the same time because I'm like, yes, they're in the right direction, because in the future, many disappointments will come. So this one, I'm happy it came early and the way it was handled. So we have to teach them that it doesn't mean, resilience also means you have to try again. You don't give up. I think they know this one. I do not give up personally, because I grew up in a home where you just don't say, oh, because I applied the first time and this is what they're given. You try again. You know where you're going. You do not give up. So these are values. we can check the definitions of all of this because my time is, I don't have too much. Please let me know how many minutes I have left. Yeah. Then another one, striving for excellence, not just being the basic mediocre, not just taking the barest minimum. You know, I'm using this Canva, and whenever I'm using Canva for design and I see minimalist design, you know, minimalist. Of course, this is one of the slides I'm using. But let us raise children who are not minimalist in their approach, who are just giving it the barest minimum. Let them strive for excellence. Push them. Again, I say something. Children do not know what to do. They do not, they depend on you. And if you do not give this, if you not inculcate these values into them, someone else is going to do it outside. So I want you, don't assume, don't just think that, oh, they're going to get it somewhat. You have to let them know that excellence is key. Our Father is a God of excellence. The Bible says in the book of Genesis, everything he made was, he looked at his work and he said it was good. So let's make sure that we're putting, you know, excellence into our children. Courage in the midst of adversity. Courage is key, especially children in diaspora, especially boys. Now, let me just go into boys right now. You know, like Rolake said, there's many organized things for girls. Girls, you see girls, they just I don't know, maybe it's a generational passed down, or but you see, since we were growing up, you see special meetings for girls, for sisters. So I guess that is where the girls have gotten the courage from. You hardly see a girl that finds it difficult to face their fears. They are just self-motivated. And I tell the boys, there was one time in their school, the yearbook, grade when they were in grade seven, and I looked at the yearbook and I saw all the people in the committee of the yearbook, they were all girls. So I called my boys and said, where are the boys? You guys are playing basketball and soccer. I'm not saying games are not good. They have lots of energy, so they have to use it. But I told them, I said, you guys have to have courage. You keep saying, oh, the girls they are bossy. They push you around. You have to be courageous and stand up and go for, like, you have to also dip yourself into things that you should do. You have to be courageous. It is important to be courageous. It is important to show that you have that courage. So you have to let your kids know. Let them try. If they go to school, because again, they'll be faced with different things. Last night, I and the boys, we slept maybe around 2 a.m. because they were sharing some things with me about their school, different belief system there, and they were just pouring and saying this, and I just had to encourage them. You have to still be courageous. You have to still stand, and you know, don't let someone push you around. You have to stand and show courage and show that I am able, like Joshua and Caleb, who said we are able, you know, to take over. I told them, I said, you have to make sure that you do not lose your courage. Generosity, this one is important. Let the children know that you don't live for yourself. Let them know that what you have, you should share. In here, a few years ago, our local church family, we started joining. I don't know if it's available in Nigeria or other parts of the country. I'm not sure if it's in Germany, but you know, the Franklin Graham, that's the son to our dear Billy Graham. They have what they call the Christmas shoebox, you know, and the Christmas shoebox, they send it to children in the less developed nations. And you go to dollar store, you go to the stores, you pack it, you go to Walmart, go to all the departmental stores, and you put it right there, you know. And so these are ways to show the children that even though we do not have enough, you should still give. Your children should be giving offerings. Your children should know that any money they're given, part of it belongs to God. Of course, it's difficult in a cashless economy where most of the money just goes to the bank. But once in a while, let them go withdraw them. Let them know that you go to God's presence, you put money in the envelope, you give. Because these children, if you don't put these little things, they don't see you giving. You know, because all of our giving is online electronically. You know, sometimes maybe if I'm doing my giving or if my husband were doing something, and then the kids, one day I had to show them, I said, see my credit card. Said, but you still gave. I said, yes, because You don't say, because I don't have, I won't give, or say, oh, I'm owing a lot, I won't give. Generosity, not only to God, to people around us. When you see someone, James, the brother of Jesus, he kept saying that in the book of James, to say faith without works is dead. It says, if you see a brother, they don't have food, and you're like, oh, the Lord be with you, you will have, and you can give, then you should. So I want to encourage us, please. Do not let us live for ourselves. Let us show these children that, generosity is important. The last one in this essential that I'm going to, of course, you can add to the list. It is endless. The list is endless. Like I put my disclaimer at the beginning, this is just a guide. Honesty. So I remember this one again. My mom has all these stories, huh? So my mom, I like the fact that she communicated what she believed in. So she used to tell us, so my mom, when she gave birth to all of us 5 children, they told me, I think it's a WHO scholarship, one scholarship like that, sponsoring some women to go and school in the US. That was in 1983. So she left us and she went. And that's why I always encourage, that's a story for another day, but let me go to the crux of this one. So she went to school. But when she came back and she always told us something. She said, I did not manipulate my credit cards. I did not overstay my welcome. I didn't, she will put that, she will keep saying it. So that stayed with me even as a kid. So fast forward 2012, we were in Botswana, and then we wanted to come visit some of our friends in the US. And so we got there to the embassy in Botswana. And then we were already processing the PR for Canada. And me with my big mouth, sometimes I say what I'm not supposed to say. So while the guy was interviewing us and everything, he's like, okay, so what are you going to do? We said, oh, we're going to visit a friend. But again, we're going to be PR of Canada soon. So we have our application in process. So we're working on that. The guy was just like, oh, you're already applying for your PR in Canada. Then he pushed our passports and they already have a printed sheet of paper to say, sorry, you've been rejected of your visa. So he just pushed it to us and said, okay, when you get to Canada, go apply for your US visa. And I'm like, what have you done, Adiola? This was 2012. I said, what have you done? I felt so bad. And my husband just pushed it back to say, no, wait. Then I remembered my mom. And meanwhile, when we're applying, I put the social insurance and everything. So I said, wait a second, sir, please, we're going to come back. We are people of, we're credible people. My mom lived in this country. Of course, they had gone, she and my dad and my other siblings, they had gone in the 70s to school before, but this one was the recent one in 83. She came and I said, my mom, go and check her records. She did not break any rules. I said, she came back at the right time. She didn't use anybody's credit card. They call it in Yoruba, Ori Olori or Woke. I said everything with her. And he's like, okay, wait a second. What's the name of your mom? Yes, 2012 Botswana, where there was no even whatever. Said, what's the name of your mom? I told the visa officer the name of my mom. So he said, give me one moment. Went to the back, of course, put it in. Then he came back. He said, yeah, what you said is true. Because of your mom, we're going to give you this. But next time, I was livid. I was like, wow. In Yoruba, they say in your right? That is the pounded yam of years ago. See what honesty did. See the value that someone placed. See what it did down the line for their generation. I'm not saying whether they gave us the application or something was, but how that thing played out at that point. And I want to say this story also, if I'm given the permission. The first one I put there, respect. I remember that my husband said that because his dad came to Canada for his master's at some point. And do you know how he got the scholarship to come and do his master's at the McGill University? They said one of the professors, came in University of Ibadan and everybody was greeting. And my husband's dad of blessed memory, he prostrated flat to greet that guy to say, you're welcome and everything. And that guy looked at him and said, who is this? Who is this young man? Please connect with me and everything. Got him that scholarship. got him everything paid, got him that scholarship to come to McGill University in 1969. So what are we saying? These values, they transcend generations. So it is important. Do not let anything happen by chance. Do not leave your children to grow up by chance. Now, we can add to the list. You can put in the comments, section. What are those primary values that is on your list right now? Some of you still have toddlers, you have babies, some of you mid-age, I want to see the chat room. What are the other primary values? Let's see the chat room. Is there anybody writing? Apart from, yeah, okay, we see one here. Yeah, okay. What are the other primary values? Patience, yes, patience. And thank goodness, Morolake wrote a book about patience. Yeah, patience, how to wait. Oh, are we there yet? Oh, mom, when is it going to be our turn? And something that you learn, yes, kindness, thank you. Kindness, to be kind to everyone, not just to be harsh. These are values. Responsibility, thank you. Thank you. To be responsible, not just to sit there and just think everything is going to come to you. Let's keep it coming. Let's add to that list. I love this. Yeah. Kindness. There are many values that we have to teach the children. These are values that they can take on to the next. Okay, while we're waiting now, let us go to a little bit of the controversial topic, secondary. I call it secondary or personal. Initially, because in doctrine, we have essential and non-essential doctrine. So I was going to put this as non-essential, but I was cautioned by the boys. So the boys, we're dividing this to essential and they were like, non-essential means it's not really that. How about we use secondary? I said, wow, that sounds good to me. So I picked it as secondary or personalized values. Thank you, sister. And hospitality is also part of those. So add to your list, let's make sure that we do all it takes to put this in. So secondary, these ones are the controversial. I love to talk controversial. Again, whatever we say is by experience, but these are valid points. I wrote it here. I said they could be family specific values. And they are values that they may not necessarily be universal, but they are tailored to your own family heritage, your conviction, your calling, and your consecration. So you shouldn't be ashamed of your secondary family values. But you have to, this one needs God's wisdom, God's courage, and you yourself being open-minded to be able to pass across these values to your children. We all know the story of the Rechabites. There's no other story that is so, that is an example in the Bible about upholding secondary family values like the Rechabites in Jeremiah 35. The prophet came to meet them. Come and drink wine. Come and build houses. They insisted. They said, no, our great grandfather said we shouldn't. And because of that, they did not. And guess what? God used their example to teach the children of Israel. So God validated the fact that they stood on their secondary values. Of course, some other people were building houses, but they said, no, our father said it's the tents we should live in. So that it now tells you that secondary values may not necessarily be wrong, because building tents was because, yeah, it was their own, also our fathers of faith, Abraham, they lived in tents. But later, people like David, Solomon, they lived in houses. So it's not like secondary values are right or wrong. But you, as a parent, you should not freelance secondary values in your home. Otherwise, you won't be able to handle what is going to happen. The first one, dressing. You are the parent. Your kids, they don't know again. You are the parent. So you should let them know. This issue of dressing, this is my own stand. This is your dad's stand on it. This is our stand as a family. Or again, if you're a single parent here, this is my stand, and this is the reason for this. So let them know from the word go as they're growing. Oh, why can't I wear that? because this is my, oh, but we also go to the same church and they are wearing that. So this is the moment where the Holy Spirit has to help you to explain, all the styles. Hairstyles. These days, there are many weird hairstyles. Growing up as a kid, you can't, even as a Christian sister, you can't dare use another color, for those who do braids or all of that. But today, all these things are happening. And again, please, I'm not condemn. Who am I to condemn? Who am I? We're still all a work in progress. But you have to explain to your son and your daughter the hairstyles that your consecration or your family, and I put family heritage there because I use that a lot for my kids. I tell them, I say, your dad is from a clan of priests. So I say, in the priesthood, as a boy child, I'm sorry, but there's some hairstyles. I remember one day before we took the boys to the barber, they were maybe grade 6 or 7. So we used to cut their hair themselves. They went to the barber. And so they cut this nice hairstyle. And of course, my dear David is the one that, he loves. He loves, he just say, oh, mom, why are you not wearing extension? Oh, he loves the hair. When I do my, oh, this looks good. I'm like, son, this is what I like for now. So just let it be, So the so the barber now did, this line. And then, so he sent me a picture. As they were cutting there, I said, hey, this line, if your daddy sees this, me, for that one, I'm not too firm. But again, that is where it comes, compromise in raising the children. There has to be one voice, So, but I said, no, I don't think this will fly. Says, take a photo, send the picture. As soon as the others just said, they should erase it. It can work. We have many Christian boys that, they do this and all of that. But that's why I put it as secondary. It is personalized. When they say something is personalized, it's not universal. So it may work for other people, but they have to know. So these are things you talk about. The wise, I would say it in my next slide. Moralake, you've not told me how many minutes I have left. So hairstyles is one. Please talk about it to your daughter, to your son. Talk about it. Just have an open conversation and let them know your reason for those things you choose and those things you don't choose. But these are things that you have to discuss. I saw one trail, what do they call it, reel on, was it Facebook? It looked so good. It was a bridal dance and they were singing, I would never go back home, I'm going back to that dress. I would never come back home. And all the bridal, they looked so good. But guess what? All of them, all the girls, they had half of their cleavage showing and they were doing it. So I'm like, well, it looks really colorful and all of that. But I'm like, what will it cost you to just like, for me personally, there's some things that are not even showing cleavage for me is not controversial. It is right on. Show your cleavage at home to your husband. It's not something that people should see outside. But today we see things and your heart bleeds and say, does that make you look more beautiful or finer? So these are things that, and I will still talk about a few things. Yeah, thank you. They said we need to teach them to dress how they would like to be addressed. Thank you. It says we have to, yeah, decent dressing. Thank you. So these are things, and for boys, it could be a bit, what is decent dressing? But these are conversations. These are just these secondary values. You have to, speak with the children. Now, friendship, you have to teach them about friendship. Let them know unequal yoke. What does it do to you? Choice of words. This one, I do it a lot. I say, have you ever, I insisted on my kids. I say, when you are addressing, don't say, have you ever done? It is okay here. I said, but for me, I don't like it. Don't say, have you ever done this? Just say, oh, mom, have you? Don't put the ever there for me. It sounds rude. Again, it's different for different people. But these are things, choice of words. Let them know, oh, these are the words you use. I put here, the use of alcohol. I know many Christians in diaspora, just a little bit of 7% or 10%. For me, my stand of alcohol, I'll keep it personal. But again, these are things you discuss. The use of jewelries. My husband, the group of Christ Apostolic Church, of course, things have changed these days and all of that. But if it's a main thing for your home, for your daughter, for your son, maybe you just don't like the use of the bling bling on the necklace and the heavy what's it called? Bracelets. And these days, the reason why you have to handle secondary values is because there are people out there who belong to the same faith, who love the Lord like your children do, who are doing that, and they look like they're on the way to heaven. We're all on the way to heaven. But your conviction, your story is different. When my kids, because I talk to them a lot, I just ask randomly. Hey, the other day I asked David, I said, David, what are some things that it has crossed your mind to do? And you're like, you just have a pause because, hey, my heritage, my family. And the very sincere boy, he said, Gordon Ramsay, there's one meal he prepared, but the sauce in that meal is red wine. And I know that, alcohol, we don't really do, well, I've said what I said I won't do, but anyways, so I said I will talk about that. So I said, this thing that we're saying, what do you think? He said, Mom, I would really love to taste that meal. But wine they use this. So I said, okay, food is very, it's a very, food is universal. Food is supposed to bring us together. I said, the fact that you now know that it actually as red wine. Can you actually ask if you're really particular because of the wine? Because sometimes so many food we've eaten in fine dining, you don't even know whether it has alcohol base or fine. But this one is different because now you know, and you know that you don't want to do the alcohol. So I just said, you know what? You can ask and say, can you do, because sometimes they are very, like when you go to the fine dining and they have some mocktails, some cocktails, you can tell them, can you do mine with no alcohol? Of course, it may not taste exactly the same, but if that is the value that you want to hold on to say, no, my tongue never touched alcohol, then I say, yeah, there's a way to go about it. Otherwise, bro, you have to leave that food. And then one day I was also talking to them and I said, and of course, David also told me, and Daniel, they like it because when my brother came, he wears a necklace, right? And he had this crucifix necklace and they really love it. He said, it makes you look cool. I said, yes. I said, my brother, that's my brother. I said, now that's my own brother. But in the Basmala heritage, they do not like it, the idea of boys putting on bling bling, putting on necklace. So these are, and you explain to them, you say, see your dad's great grandfather, Baba Kiyele, see your dad's dad, a pastor in CAC, your dad, a pastor in CAC. I said, so these are personalized family heritage. And I let them know that there's blessing in holding on to those family heritage. There's a huge blessing in holding on to it. Of course, if you deviate, there's always mercy in God, but the kid has to know the reason. I will put in my next slide, you see it, but there's conviction, there's consecration. My worry though in these things is that sometimes it's not just about what is going on outward. It is eating into the crux of the belief system of that kid. It's not just about the outward. The other day I was telling there's one guy, very good guy here. He plays the keyboard. And when he moved here, he started with, plating the air. Okay. The next time I saw him last month, guess what? They had added 2 earrings to the hair. So in my mind, I'm saying, so what is next now? He's a good guy. He loves the Lord. In fact, his dad is a pastor. But my fear, my worry usually for these things is that what else is he eating into? Is he eating into your consecration inside? So with this same person, and it can happen even to the person that is not plaiting the hair or wearing earrings, as a boy or as a girl, because I know some people also believe in, God deals with us, differently, right? So again, my worry is about eating into that crux. So someone wrote here, okay, Laomi said, a pastor has two teenagers was put on braids. Almost all teenagers in church are on braids now. So these are the reasons why we have to just be careful. And a scripture we're reading, like on our family devotion with the boys last night, was in the book of Romans, Romans, I think is it 13 and 14, where Paul was saying that if eating a particular meal will cause your neighbor to sin, that do not eat that. And we were discussing about this. So that's where the conversation, I said, we now add late into the night, because we started talking about, all these things that you do some things not for yourself, especially sometimes when you are now in a position of influence. So you have to be careful. And I gave this example. I said, when we got here, of course, I'm open about whether as a lady you cover your hair to church or not. But then we started going to a CAC here. And of course, I will go with my hair not covered. And then one day my dad just called me. My dad said, Adeola, you are a CAC pastor's wife. He said, you may not like it. You may feel there's nothing, no big deal about covering your hair or not. But he said, you have to do some things for the sake of the ministry, for the sake of the conviction that the heritage your husband comes from as, and for the sake of things around you. When my dad was here, I think that was a few years ago, I just said, Daddy, I said, well, Daddy, I'll do whatever. So for years and years, I didn't know. But later, I saw that God began. If you check some of my videos, I may be covered in some, I may not be covered in some. Again, these are not major things, but like Lawumi said there, the influence, the feel, so these are things that, again, there may be gray areas, but just make sure that you understand the reason behind it. You are able to pass it across. I put other things here, wearing of makeup, putting on tattoos. The list is endless. Please, can you put in the chat room what other secondary or personalized family values, what other things have you seen that there are things that you really have to talk about? These are things that sometimes we shy away from. These days we love maverick music. Oh, I love it. Praise the Lord. And then sometimes I like to listen to audio, right? Because sometimes when you now look at the video, your heart will just sink. And then you see the sad things. And then you see that. And then I tell people, I said, you don't know their story though. So you cannot condemn. But you know the story of your own family. So the things you want to see in your boys, in your girls, please. And as a parent as well, you have to be firm. Do not be a parent. The children are looking. Don't be a parent of, blown by every wave of doctrine. So be that firm parent, because again, if you two, they see that everything you just fall for, then you are telling the kiddo, you are telling the kiddo, you don't fall for things. I don't know how far that will go. So let us be an example. So I just want to go through the chat here. It says, okay, yeah, I see that. And then I see, it says, many of us want to discard the restraints that should come with our walk with God in the name of liberty. Yes. And those restraints, they help a lot to curb a lot of excesses. We are in a fellowship where, of course, we are Morolake went to see you. And one time we were having a meeting, and in one of the alumni fellowship meeting, one of the guys was like, but when we were in school, all of us were wearing our scarf, the girls. But now when we are doing North America reunion, we are not concerned about that anymore. And I told the brother, I said, I thank you for that word, Sister Tosin. I said, we needed that restraint at that point to take us to where God was leading us to. It's not as if you didn't cover your hair, God will not answer you, or if you cover your hair, but we needed that. You cannot afford to leave things to freelance there will be no order. People will just do things anyhow. So that is why it is very important that you put that restraint on your kid. And another reason why I'm saying, this personalized value, one of our friends had an issue. Well, I won't say it's an issue. She grew up, the dad is CAC, so they didn't even pierce their earlobe. Talk more of going to wear jewelries. And so when their kid, a girl, she went to school or something, and then maybe she's been mentioning to the parent, I don't know. And then she had her hair pierced, right? Or is it hair or no? She has something pierced. And the dad was livid. He was so, but thank goodness that he now saw reason that, okay, even though at this point when the kid was with you, you told her, I don't know whether they had that discussion about the whys or why. That's why, please do not assume anything. You have to explain to that kid. And also as a parent, if you now see that those personalized values, maybe at some point they're falling short, let there be a conversation. Why did they choose what they're choosing? Explain to them. Yes, smoking, putting tattoo, all these things. I know our time is fast spent. So now, how do we instill these values in our children? The first one, I've said it, you have to model it. Be a good example. It's easy to say, do this, do that. But sometimes they just doesn't. And my kids they always say, when they do something wrong, I don't know whether I really did that too, but they'll be like, oh, we learned from the best. So I said, okay, so this is what I do, right? So you learn from the best. But you have to model it. John 13:15. What does it say? I want us to, is a faith-based stuff. So if anybody is there, I can't remember what it says now. I remembered it when I was writing it, but now I cannot remember. So what does John 13:15? Let me see. My Bible, my phone is here. I can quickly go there. So John 13:15. So what it says here, it says, I did this as an example for you. This is Jesus when he washed the feet of the disciples. So he says, so you should serve each other just as I have served you. Jesus did not have to, remove his clothing to show his disciples, but he knew the power of modeling it. So that's why he modeled it. And then Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians 11 verse 1 says, follow me as I follow Christ. Some version says, imitate me as I imitate Christ. So let us make sure that as parents, we are modeling it. If you are not on the same page, if you're not on the same page with your spouse, these are places where you have to be on the same page and model it, for the children. And then the second one is explain the why. This is really important. You have to explain the why. I love, this is one of my favorite scriptures, in the Bible about teaching children the way of the Lord. Deuteronomy 11 and verses 18 to 21. And it says, remember these commands I give you. Keep them in your hearts. Write them down and tie them on your hands. Wear them on your foreheads as a way to remember my laws. Now the emphasis. Teach these laws to your children. Talk about these things when you sit in your houses, when you walk along the road, when you lie down, when you get up. It says, write these commands on the doorpost of your houses and on your gates. I remember growing up, there's some things, some pictures in our living room. I still see it. There was one picture of a dog inside a bowl. And inside the bowl, and the thing written there was that almost anything in life is easier to get in than out of. Almost anything in life. So let them see, let it be visible. If you can hang frames in your home, let them see it. It is what the Bible tells us. It says we should talk about it when you walk along the road. I love this part. I do a lot of walks with the boys and we get to talk. We do prayer walks and then we talk. We talk. My husband, we talk about it. We teach them. So don't just teach. Some of us, we are so good about teaching the laws, but let us take it a step further. Talk about everything. It is important. It helps the children to know the values and to get it instilled. And also be consistent. The Bible says about Elkanah in 1 Samuel 1 verse 3, it says he took his family to Shiloh. Is it Shiloh or Shiloh? Every year, they always went. And that was why when it was time for Samuel to start staying with Eli, it wasn't a big deal for him because, from the womb, from even when he was still in the loins of his father, the consistency has been there. So these are some of the ways. Can I say in the chat room, which other ways do you think you can instill these values into your children? Of course, praying. We have to pray. We have to pray. We cannot over pray. But these are practical examples. You model it, you explain the why. This is actually important. Gone are the days when we don't explain that. We have to explain the why. We have to explain the why. All right. So explaining the why, be consistent and all of that. I think I have used up my time. I'm sorry for taking time, but I believe that, with these few things that we've been able to discuss, and thank you so much for your full participation, in the masterclass today. These are things that we consistently are open to. I wanted to also say something, about some of the hard work values. It will not be nice for me if I don't mention, one of these values, the hard work one, the fact that you continue to be hardworking. I learned this from my dad when I was younger. Well, he gave his life to Christ later in life, and he would always do his prayer walks. He would always study. He will always do stuff. Even now, my dad is 80. He's going to be 81 next month, and he has a project he's working on. He has a project called the Boucher Initiative, where he wants to make sure that the soil in the tropics, they're able to grow plants. And you look at someone like him at 80, what else is there? Just sleep and enjoy your grandpahood, right? But that hard work doesn't stop. So let us make sure that we are, we are good examples. That modeling is very, very key. So I'm going to stop sharing my slide right now, and I will hand over to our able host, Moralake. Thank you, everyone, again. Thank you so
Wow.
much. Thank you.
Wow, 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 wow. Please, I want you to show our speaker, Mr. Diola, I want you to show her some love in the comment section. If you've learned anything, if you're taking home anything today, if you've been reminded about something today, please, 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 please. This has been really refreshing, really, really, really refreshing. Thank you so, so much. And I'm just going to do a quick recap of some of the, points that was talked about today, that we have highlighted today. Please, a minute. Just a minute, please. I'm having some. Okay. Thank you so much. And I love the way our speaker started. She talked about the fact that it's okay if you didn't grow up, or if you grew up with certain things, it's okay to modify it. There are certain things that, maybe our parents were so high-handed with us. You can be strict with your child, but this time you're going to pass it down with love. You're going to do it wrapped in love. She talked about modifying boundaries. It's so important. The way it was passed to you is great, right? Now look at it in terms of your system. Another thing that caught my attention when she was talking about the secondary values is create values based on your conviction, on your consecration, your calling, and your heritage. I can totally relate with what she said in terms of the fact that she tells her children, look, your parents, your father, the heritage of the Basma, they are priests. And so because they are priests, because there are certain things that it's okay for everybody to do, there's nothing wrong with it. But because of our calling, because of our conviction, because we are priests, that's a high level of self-awareness, a high level of family self-awareness, to be able to know that, look, this is our own heritage, right? So I don't know the heritage you're from. Your heritage might not be so good. It might be really dark. There might be negative things, but you can begin. You can say, here, this is where it stopped, and this is where we're moving on. We're taking it on differently. I'm doing things differently from how I've done it, right? And if you have come from a fantastic heritage, great, right? Build on it. So those secondary things like your hair, like, piercing, like, it's personal to your family. Just make sure that you do it, not because the world is doing it, not because friends are doing it, not because another family is doing it, but because it's tailored to, your family vision, your family heritage, right? I love the part of honesty. 20 over how many years? That's over 20 years down the line. I don't know if anybody heard that example. Please, I want you to drop an emoji for me, just like something to acknowledge that example. She got to the embassy, gave her mom this name, and the guy checked it in the embassy, and it came out right. She said her mom did not overstay. She didn't do anything wrong. Look at how he helped her to get that application to visit the US. Like sometimes with the things that we do, we might think, oh, it's so, well, we're not just doing it for ourselves, we're doing it for our children. So as we go back to our places of work on Monday, and when life asks you about your values, I want you to remember, over 27 years, thank you. I want you to remember that it's not just about you, it's about your heritage. Another very important one, hard work, respect. A whole man frustrating flat to greet. Look at the doors it opened. Absolutely amazing. I love the fact she talks about, we sometimes we don't talk about these values with our children. Sometimes they learn it by modeling, like by how we model it, right? But it's also important to have those conversations. At the beginning, I talked about defensive parenting. You're just correcting. Meanwhile, if you had created the framework, the first response will be, in this home, what did we agree on? What did we discuss? In this home, what have I told you that we do and we don't do? So this action that you have taken, is it in line with our values? Even the child will be able to respond and say, oh, yes or no, or something like that, right? So instead of defensive parenting, have conversations about these values. Giving, generosity, setting boundaries. Let me shock you. Today, my son, I've always told him that when mommy is dressing up, you close the door and wait. Today, when he finished taking his bath, he said, Mommy, I want to dress up. Please, can you? We'll be talking about body safety. I'm just trying to say that children reflect back to us what we have taught them, right? But I respected, of course, I'm going to, anywhere he's dressing, I'll be there. But for me, I respected the fact that he had the courage to tell me that, no, and you see, when they get to, this is how it starts at home. Because when they get to school, when they get to the playground, they'll be able to say, no, this is not how it is done. But if they have not even had the opportunity to practice at home, how would they be able to practice outside? Thank you so much. Instill those values, talk about it. And I'm so glad to share with you that some of the important primary values that our speaker, Mr. Diola Basmala, has talked about is right here inside my book. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know. You can't see it. But it's right here in the book I just recently authored. Yes,
because your background is awesome.
Yeah. It's called In Our Home, Celebrate Family Values. This is very new in the market. It comes with a workbook. It's available. It's coming to Nigeria in October. It's going to be in Canada, I think also in October or September. It's already in the US. You can pre-order it. It's a fantastic conversation. Buy it for your friends, for your church, for your schools, distribute it, put it in your party pack. Because this conversation about values is so important. I've discovered that sometimes we assume, we just assume it, that our children will know what they're supposed to do. No, like our speaker said, they don't know. They are children. Expect them to misbehave, expect them to be naughty. We are the ones that set the framework, and that's why I said the values, it's like a framework that guides them and aligns them to know what to do per time, per season. If you have enjoyed this session, there is a course that we are creating. Mrs. Adiola does not know this yet, but she's one of our facilitators. She has already been co-opted. So if you have friends in Canada, she's going to be holding your hands to make sure that, I'm telling you, some of the things that I implement in my home are things that I learned from her. The conversation, talking to kids. We are speaking Yoruba in our home. Our son is speaking it 1, 2, 3, 4. It's because I learned it from her. So there's a masterclass that is coming up. We're going to share with those who are interested, right? The link will be dropped. If you're interested in that course, it's going to be, an intensive course where we're going to be bringing experienced facilitators, like our speaker today, that will come and have real life conversation, practical example. We have somebody from different parts of the world, so it's very international. We have from Nigeria, we have from Canada, we have from Germany, we have from somebody in Saudi Arabia, and she has lived in Poland before. We have somebody from the US, right? We have somebody from Luxembourg. We're bringing different facilitators, so if you are interested in the course, this is just a masterclass. So if this is so good, imagine what the masterclass will be like. I don't know if admin has dropped that link here, the wait list, right? There's a wait list that you can, please register your name. Admin, please, could you help me put that in the box? It's going to be an intensive. We're going to have real life questions where you can just, and if you have growing children, if you have children ages 0 to 8, take it from me, this is the best time to put those values into them before it becomes too late. So please, I want you to, if you're interested in that course, please put your name there. We will get in touch with you as soon as it goes live, but it's going to be very intense. At the end of it, you're going to come out of the course a different person with value structured to your home, to your family. We're going to have reflection sessions. We're going to have interactive sessions, live sessions, where you can ask questions. We're going to have, one-on-one conversations. So please show your interest using the link below in the comment section, and if you are interested. Now we're going to the Q&A. I know Miss Adela is she has another, she's always booked and busy, always hardworking mama. She has a grocery store in her house, so aside from the other businesses that she runs, she's just a model for me in so many ways that you can't sit down. There's no room for all of that. So please, we have questions. Do you have any questions? We can take 1 or 2 questions. If you have any question, please, let's quickly have it, and if not, we would wrap up. Does anybody have any questions? Please don't forget the book in our home is available. I don't know why it's not showing, but if you're following us on social media, please, admin, help us with a social media link. Yes, I have a question. Very good. Follow us on social media, Rooted and Planted. Please follow us on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, get a copy of the book, and if you're interested in the intensive online course, please sign up with the link below. Yes, please go on with your question. Do you want to type it or you want to speak? Fantastic. Okay. I have a question too. Very good. If you want to talk or you want to type it, we already have question 1. Question 2. Do you want to talk or do you want to type it? Damilola?
Yes, I would love to talk.
Okay.
Can
Okay,
you
go
hear
ahead.
me? Yeah, thank you very much. There's something Stadiola said, and you also talked about it, that about correcting children in love. But from what I've observed about children, I don't really have so much um um how will I put it?
Experience.
Yes, experience with children. I am getting to have more experience with children now. The ones I've had experience with are babies. So I'm now getting to have more experience with children like 3 to 5, 10, and all like that. I realize that there are sometimes you need, is it right to be stern with them at times? We have to correct them with love. Okay, don't do this, don't do that. But there are sometimes you try to correct them, they still do that thing. You tell them, don't do this in the class, don't do this. They still tend to do that. Is it that we keep correcting them in love, or there are sometimes we really need to be stern with them and punish them if possible? Thank you.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Over to you, Ma.
Thank you so much for that question, Sister Dami. Yeah. So correction, whether you're firm in your correction, whether you're flexible, love should always be the hallmark of our correction. If we don't show love, it may not turn out rightly. I was talking to one of our sisters here yesterday about, the issue of using the cane and using, those kind of the way that some of us were, beaten and scolded. And I said, if you still want to use the cane, for me, I'm pretty open about whether you want to use the cane. Just be sure you follow the rules in the place you are living. But yes, Proverbs 22:15, that, foolishness is stored in the eye of a king, but the rod of correction, that rod is rod of curse, but we can modify that rod. But whether you're using the rod of your words or the rod of correction, let everything be done in love. See, when you scold kids, I didn't do too much of it, but I still have my pancreas here. They know it's there. When I want to do it, I just pause first and ask myself, don't come from that aspect, the place of, transferred aggression. That's what we call it. Maybe something you didn't have a good day, and then the way you now come and then you just do it back, bosa. And even the kid will be like, is it this thing or something else? But when you correct in love, so being firm is important. Again, I keep saying it, kids do not know the way they should go. But when they know they love you, I teach children. I've been teaching children for years. And every child I teach, they know Auntie D is a strict teacher. But they also get to know after time that Auntie D actually loves. That's why she's teaching. I've taught here in Canada, I've taught in the US, I teach many, many kids. And I realize that I'm not saying my pattern is the best way, but kids have to be shown discipline. You have to be firm sometimes. But what I see that works is that when you correct them, then you talk to them, then you say, did you know why I did what I did? Right now in our church, the children department, I have a registration pamphlet that I did, not a pamphlet, a registration board. And I say, if you misbehave, you just have a strike beside your name. At the end of the year, if your strike is so much, you won't get the gift from me. I tell some of the teachers to incorporate that. And we've seen changes. The fact that they know there will be a strike, they will change, but children will still be children. Like, remember when you two were children? I remember when my brother is, I don't know if he's still here. That Christmas, Nigi, do you remember? My mom said, Christmas is past, don't do banga. This one I can't forget in Jericho. No banga. We are like, oh, sure. My mom was lying down in the living room, said we shouldn't do banga. Then I and my younger brother, we went out. We did the banga. We were excited, and sometimes you just think, why did we do it? We were told not to, but again, children will always be children. Even we as adults, sometimes you do stuff that you yourself, if you can beat yourself. Sometimes some things happen in the house, and my husband says, some people should actually scold themselves now. That's me, right? Even you as an adult, whether you're in your 30s or 40s or 50s, so we're still human. And God, our loving Father, corrects us. So that banger one, we went out, we still did it. We finished, we were happy. Then we came inside. My mom did like she was sleeping on the couch. our house then, the washroom downstairs had a room before the actual stuff. So when I came, I said, no, your mom is sleeping. We escaped that one. As I entered into that washroom like this, my mom just came with me with this thing. Money, come and banker. You still went ahead to do it. What we saw from her was that it was from, that it was from a heart of love. So whichever correction you do, especially if they are not your biological children, so whether they are biological, whether they're spiritual children that you're mentoring, make sure that in your correction, love is seen. They may not understand it, but they will come back in the future and say, thank you for being strict. Whatever love, whatever discipline you show them, make sure that love is not missing. You have to be firm on children, but again, communicate. We are in the era of dialogue. You have to talk to the children. Not, I have said it, so it is. This is it. This is it. So I think those are things, the guides. And again, for me, I also want to encourage the parents that are here. If you have aunties beside your children and uncles, you are blessed to have people correct your kids outside of your home front. Do not take offense. Some of us, we are so defensive that when someone else says, oh, Daniel, why did you do that? You feel sad to say, why should you correct my kid? There's some lenses that you as a parent may not use to see, that is only the aunties and uncles outside or the mentors that will see with that lenses. So be open, especially if you know that they are doing it from a place of love and a place where, they want the kids to turn out well. But everything we do should be done with love. But being firm for correcting kids, absolutely. If you continue, I don't know, I don't know if I missed that slide. In my slide, there was a place where I said, you have to be consistent. Like, I don't know for how many years I will keep telling them, but you've not greeted Auntie Kinney, you've not greeted Uncle Kinney. You have to be consistent until you see the results, until you see the travail of your soul, so to speak, in that character. So you have to consistently drive it in. So firmness is important. They don't know the best. That's the best way they think they can. So you are there to guide them. I hope that shed a little bit of light on the question.
Yes, thank you very much, Ma.
Thank you, Sister Dami. And then, okay,
The
should I
second question.
continue?
Yes,
All right,
yes, yes, yes.
okay. So she says, people say to work smart and not work hard. How do we explain that? I don't know where they got that from. The fact that, of course, working smart is also good, but do not do smart work in lieu of hard work. What this means is that, Jesus, is it where did Jesus say it? He says, my Father is always, okay, yeah, John chapter 5, verse 17. He says, my Father is working up until now, and I am working. Of course, the ad we put in front of the work may be like, okay, Jesus did not say he was hard working, but he was working. And any work, for me personally, I see that if you're doing any work at all, I think hardworking, if we look at the definition, so let me go now and check what the definition of hard work is, so that we just put all this in perspective. Someone should look at the definition of working smart. Of course, we know it, but let's just see, what does hard work, what does it really mean? Okay, yeah. So it says here, it says hard working means that someone tends to work with energy and commitment. Hard work means someone is working with energy, with commitment, with diligence. So maybe breaking that hard work into the three. Is it good to work with your energy? Yes, you want to put your heart to what you're doing. It makes a difference in everything we do. That is hard work. Do you want to do your work with commitment? Yes. Commitment shows that you are working hard. Do you want to do your work with diligence? Of course. So hard work is important. Now, what is smart, working smart? I don't want to just assume some of these definitions. So working smart, it says using your time and energy effectively to achieve the best possible outcomes rather than just putting in long hours. So that is where the balance comes. So you have to balance your hard work with smart work. Do not do one in lieu of the other. Make sure you're working hard, but use your time effectively, because working hard again entails commitment Diligence and putting your energy, and you want to see that in whatever you do. You want to transfer that to the children to make sure that they are diligent. For the first two books I wrote it with hard work, which is good. My third book, though, I added smart work with hard work. So my third book that I said I wrote about family values, virtues to put in children. How did I work smart? Now there is AI. I put my thoughts, my original thoughts, I write it out. I use Grammarly to do my editing, to correct what I've written. Now I put it into one of the AI tools and see, but guess what? When you work smart, you are still hard working. I now put it in one of the AI tools to say, okay, can this be written in a better way? Of course, they say some things. You don't accept everything. So that's another thing. You don't accept everything that is there. But is it wrong to use the tools that is available? No. My presentation today, let me let me shock you. So I was just sitting down. Before, of course, I still do that when I'm teaching or when I have to preach or something. But this one, I just sat down and I spoke for 30 minutes. I think I sent the audio to Morak. I just spoke. So on my phone, and I said, okay, transcribe it to the words. You transcribe it. Guess what I did? The thoughts were just coming. So I was writing it as the thoughts was coming. I was saying it. So I now carried that and then put it in one of the smart tools. I put it in smart tools. When I saw how the smart tool helped me to put things in perspective, I told my husband, I said, hey, I said the word. I said, Diola, what have you been doing? But again, it's still good to go that route because the authenticity of what you're doing will still show. So working smart is important. Working hard is important. Do not substitute one for the other. They complement each other. Do not, because you're working smart. That's why when you're doing working smart and then you're told to write something and then it goes into plagiarism, that's because you just picked the smart route. But when you work hard, you put your energy to writing your stuff yourself, and then you just put it to enhance what you've written. The difference is there. So it's not a substitute for each other. It balances each other and then gives you the expected result. And that's what we need. So I
Wow,
hope,
wow, wow.
Sister Simbi, that's my colleague from Saskatoon. Kojo Meta. So thank you. Was I able to answer that question?
I honestly believe so. I really believe so. Thank you so much. We don't substitute one for the other. We work hard. We go. I think work hard is also going the extra mile, right? Going that that we are supposed to clean the table, right? And you just do it. But working hard is going the extra mile to make sure that the table is not just cleaned, it is well arranged. I'm just using an example. Say you want to explain it to a child, right? Hard work is like going a little extra mile, and that's what differentiates you from everybody else, right? Your socks is supposed to be your shoe. You're supposed to put it in the right place, but you can fling it to the right place. You can put it nicely, properly in the right way. That's a smarter way to do it. We can use the broom to sweep the floor. It's hard work. We're cleaning the house. But if we get a Hoover or a vacuum cleaner to help us, we are doing the hard work, but we are getting smarter with it. We are getting wiser. We are looking for ways to cut the work by half. But it's not stealing from somebody else. It's not
Cutting corners.
yes, cutting corners. It's not that we are lying. We're speaking the truth while we're still getting the work done. Thank you
I
so much.
wanted to just keep
Yes.
something in about that extra mile you said. So that extra mile, if you remember the story of when Abraham sent his servant to get a wife for Isaac, it was extra mile. I taught that to the Bible Club children. It was that extra mile that got Rachel to be that got Rebecca. Wait, who is the wife?
It's like,
Rebecca. Oh my
okay.
goodness. It
It's
was,
okay. It's okay.
yeah, it was Rebecca. She said the prayer of the servant was that whoever gives us water and
Yeah.
also gives water
Yeah.
to our camels. So
Camels.
that extra mile is the hard work. Giving
Yes.
humans water is okay. They have given,
Yes.
but that extra mile secured, Rebecca a place in the lineage, in the genealogy of Jesus. So extra mile is hard work,
Yeah.
but again, balance it up with the
Yeah.
smart work. The
Thank
same.
you so much, Ma. The comment about the question about children, I don't know. I think the person Damilola, Miss Damilola, I don't know. I don't know if I think from your question, I feel like you work with children in a classroom, and I just want to let you know that I see you. I'm a fellow
Yes, I
teacher
do,
like
ma,
you.
in
Yeah.
church.
So I understand it can
Yes.
be very frustrating, particularly those 2, 3 year olds. The moment you say don't do, you look back, they have gone back there again. But it is age appropriate. Look, if they don't do that, if you have a child who is just sitting down every time sitting down like this, they don't move, you have there's a serious problem. So I want to assure you that look, it's age appropriate behavior. You'll notice that by the time you get to the bigger classes, it gets a little better because you can explain to them that if you put your hand inside this thing, it can shock you. Then you get shocked. That's how I talk to my son. You get shocked, then we have to call the ambulance, and you have to go to the doctor. Do you want that? You say no. Then please don't touch it. This is electricity. But how do you explain that to a 2-year-old? So one of the things that I would say that you can do is ensure that your environment is safe. You've blocked all those the dangerous channels where they can go. Number 2 is routines. Sometimes in a classroom, if they know once we finish eating, the next thing is we brush our teeth. Then there's a routine every day. It helps. And like our speaker already said, it's never too much to keep repeating it. We keep talking, we keep talking, we keep talking, we keep talking. Have you said thank you? Come back here, give it to me. If you don't say thank you, when somebody gives you something, what do you say? Give it to me. You don't need that thing. We say thank you. Tomorrow again. And that is because we are children, because our children are children. So we can't treat them like adults and just say it once and think that they have understood it. No, we will keep saying it and keep saying it and keep saying it until they get it. For instance, we are on the topic of we have conquered to some extent. Thank you, Pat. Everything has its place. Hey, come here. Look, this thing. When you come back from school, what are we supposed to do? We put our things in the right place. I said it yesterday. I said it today. The probability that I will say it tomorrow is still there. But will I stop saying it? No. I have a friend. I think she's on this call. One day we're having a conversation and light just came into that conversation. She said to me, Rolake, look, if you have not said, there's a research, and I'm really looking for that research. There's a research that says that until you have said something to a child up to 150 times or more, that they have not gotten it. It's just coming here and going out. That's why routines are important. You keep saying it. In the morning when we come to school, this is where we put our bag. Then you say it again, and you model it, and you say it again. And when they get to a point where there's a need to draw the line, discipline, timeout is good. Go and think about what you have done. No, and even 3-year-olds, 2-year-olds sometimes need to be, I've told you not to do that. Step back, go and sit down in the corner. You're not going to do this until you do this. Setting those clear boundaries is important. So I won't use the word punish for 2 to 3-year-olds, but I would say we set clear boundaries. Timeout is an option. We put you on timeout. The next time I've told you not to do this, then if you do it again, we go for timeout. And then like I said, we wrap it in love. So I hope that has also helped with your question. Thank you so much, Ma. It was really refreshing session. Like I said, the masterclass is coming live. I'm not proud to market. I'm not proud. I'm very proud to market and talk about this masterclass. The online course, because I know that at the end of that online course, you are going to come out. Your family is going to come out better for it, because you are going to have people who will do an analysis, one-on-one conversations with you, live classes with different speakers, experience, who have that wealth of experience, that wealth of knowledge, to be able to share with you from and then you see that some of the things that I'm learning, I'm doing today is because of this kind of, speakers that I'm learning from on a regular basis. And now we are going to have that opportunity. So please don't forget to sign up for this the online course. One of our speakers, she's already there. One of our speakers is Mrs. Adiola already. She's one of our confirmed speaker, confirmed. So you don't want to miss it. She's been a blessing. I can say that categorically. She's been a blessing to my life. And you're going to see her in the course. Please sign up. We're going to let you know. She also has books. I have some of our books here. I don't have the link, Ma, to your books.
If you just put my name on Amazon, all my books will come out.
Yes, on Amazon. please, I'm also going to put it in newsletter. If you sign up for our newsletter, I'm going to put the links to our books and resources as well in the newsletter that you get from us. Thank you so much. I hope this has really been, it has been a blessing, that has encouraged me. It has.
Rolake,
Yes,
someone
ma'am.
is asking how long the masterclass will be for.
We have not finalized those details because we want to, confirm a few things. But it's going to be an intensive course, most likely for 4 weeks. Most likely it's going to be for 4 weeks. If it will extend beyond that, we'll let you know. But it's going to be 4 weeks, live courses, live sessions, and we're going to be doing a lot of hand holding to make sure that at the end of it, your family is better for it, your children are better for it. Yeah. So thank you so much. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media channels. If this has been a blessing to you, share with somebody, talk about it with somebody. I want us to drop one action point. We're going to wrap up now, but I want one. What are you going to do differently? I want to see it, because I don't just want us to come here, talk, and go. One action point that you are going to do, implement in your family, starting today, tomorrow. Please drop it in the comment section before we go, so that we can release our speaker. Let's do that quickly, please. I don't want us to go without having an action plan. Have more conversations. Thank you very much. Please, I want you to break it down in your journal. Which kind of conversation? What are the gaps? What are the areas? What topic are you going to have conversations about? Who else? And for me, is the I'm not going to relent with being a honest person at work, because I know that the fragrance of my honesty, of my work, is going to count for generations to come. I'm in a purely white environment, so being the black person there, I have a responsibility, not just for myself, for the people behind me. So they will not say that the Nigerians, that's how they are. No, because of me, they will employ more Nigerians. Because of me, my son is treated better, because I'm going to do my work as unto the Lord in all honesty. That is my own decision. I'm not going, because it can be tiring. When you are the one showing up every time, you are not calling in sick every minute. Because of exploiting the lapses in the policy. For me, I'm going to keep showing up. As much as my strength will carry me, I'm going to keep showing up. Okay, somebody said values. Yes, have that conversation about values. All right. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you so much, Ma. We're really honored to have you. God bless you. Correct with love. Yeah, genau. Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. At this point, we'll draw the curtains and look out for the next session. Yeah, thank you. Yes, Ma. Thank you also for sharing from your heart with us. God bless you and have a wonderful, thank you. More conversations. Yeah. My secondary values are valid. Yeah, again now. Thank you for this session. Thank you so much for attending as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Don't forget to sign up for all our courses, get our books. It helps us, it encourages us to keep going. All right, thank you. Have a good evening. Bye. If you still want to be around to hang around and dance and vibe with me, it's okay. But our speaker is, you're good to go, Ma. I know you have another appointment. Thank you so much. Yeah, all right, Ma. Bye, Ma. Thank you all for coming. The online course is still there. You can sign up. It's going to be online. It's going to be online as well. So no need to worry about how you're going to participate and all of that. The slide. Okay, if you have can you please send me a message on Instagram? I will get the slides and then I'll get your email and send it to you as well. If you are a part of our newsletter community, you're likely to get a copy of, you're likely to get it via email. If you're not a part of the newsletter community, you can send me a message on Instagram and I would send it directly to you.
Climb the mountain, cross the I found no other love like this. You are the treasure that I have. In you I'm truly satisfied. Jesus, you're my everything. You're the light that shines through me. You are the treasure that I have. In you I'm truly satisfied.
Oluwatosi, Oluwatosi, the Jesus that I know is enough for me. Oluwatosi, Oluwatosi, the Jesus that I know is enough for me.